Our first pro is that it builds better peer relationships. The first pro about building better student-peer relationships is that by providing students with a more diverse learning environment, it lowers the risk of bullying and helps students build more positive peer-to-peer attributes in contrast to students who attend more segregated schools. The United States is becoming more and more of a melting pot every year. It only makes sense that by attending a more diverse school, you're more likely to socialize better with the general population than if you are limited to socializing with people of the same culture and beliefs your entire life. The website titled greatschools.org has an article titled How Important is Cultural Diversity at Your School, where it says, and I quote, students who attend schools with a diverse population can develop an understanding of the perspectives of children from different backgrounds and learn to function in a multicultural, multi-ethnic environment. A study done by the University of Wisconsin-Madison stated that institutional policies fostering diversity of the campus community had positive effects on student cognitive development, school satisfaction, and leadership abilities. Our first con is that it does not build better peer relationships.
Hi class, Tamara Jacoby wrote an article for the Wall Street Journal called Beyond Busing, and in it she states, as for the claims that racial mingling would teach black and white children to get along, that too proved elusive in many schools where students resegregated as soon as they got to the lunchroom, and inequality in the academic performance often only deepened white kids' prejudice. Meanwhile, across the classroom, outside the classroom, integration, a more natural kind of integration, was slowly spreading across the country. What all this proves, something we should have known all along, is that artificial engineered racial balance won't achieve the larger promise of real social integration. But as the psychologist Gordon Allport warned decades ago, the process only works when the people involved are social equals who have reason to respect each other independent of race. Back to you, Emma.
Our second pro is that it creates a better learning environment. As for the second pro, there are a number of positives such as more diversity, which in turn provides more unique classroom feedback and perspectives. A study done by Kristen Keynes, who is Principal Investigator and Director of Statistics at Frank Porter Graham Child Development Institute at the University of North Carolina, found that test scores of African American children were lower at schools that have 75% or greater racial makeup of minority students. The finding persisted even when researchers used statistical tools to control the economic, social, and academic backgrounds of the children. Another important piece of information worth noting is that according to the Civil Rights Project at the University of California, the racial achievement gap narrowed the most ever in the late 1980s and early 1990s, which coincidentally is the time period where schools were most integrated in our country's history. Our second con is that it does not create a better learning environment.
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas wrote in his 1995 concurring opinion in Missouri versus Jenkins that given that desegregation has now produced the predicted leaps forward in black educational achievement, there is no reason to think that black students cannot learn as well when surrounded by members of their own race as when they are in an integrated environment. Indeed, it may very well be that what has been true for historically black colleges is true for black middle and high schools. Because of their distinctive histories and traditions, black schools can function as the center and symbol of black communities and provide examples of independent black leadership, success, and achievement. Shalom Richmond states in the Future of Freedom Foundation, chief among these is the assertion that black children cannot get a quality education if surrounded only by other black children. I mean, that's a statement in itself. Brown's sacred status has made criticism of it, at best, limited. Because of this, it is little understood that the ruling has had devastating consequences for the education of black children. Considering that the achievement gap in education between black and white is real and widely laminated, the neglect of Brown's culpable is unfortunate. Brown and the follow-on cases despite presumably good intentions, moved many black children from excellent schools filled with dedicated adults into schools where they were regarded as alien invaders and where teachers often thought of them as fit for only low-level jobs. In the social engineers' eyes, this was social progress.